Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Wednesday the 4th of June. This video is an educational video only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. It is for educational purpose only. S&P 500 closed just a few pips or a few dollars above the resistance here. Has confirmed the uptrend or is resumed the uptrend. RSI still positive sentiment indicating likely higher levels. There is some divergence building up, but trust the trend, and I think we could see it crawling higher above 6,000, maybe up to the previous all-time high. But let's see about that. But that's the next strong resistance, obviously. Dow Jones still in this range, but also higher yesterday. I think it could challenge the previous peak here. Also still a positive sentiment. There's no divergence at the moment, indicating we are likely to see higher levels on the Dow Jones too. Here we have a Nasdaq 100 also continuing its bullish trend, positive sentiment, a little bit of divergence, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. And we could see a retest of previous peaks fairly shortly. It seems fairly strong, especially led by Microsoft and Meta. And also with the semiconductors. So let's just have a quick look at the semiconductor industry. We can see it here. Had a good day yesterday. Still below its peak here a few weeks ago and below its all-time highs, but it is pushing higher. And the overall technology index also pushing towards all-time highs. In Asia this morning, we had Seng. Also higher, testing the reaching the 786 retracement here at 23,650 in a strong bounce. It could take out the previous peak, and if it does, then I think we'll see it back to the highs that we have seen here, just around 24,875, which is also the 1764 projection of this correction here. So fairly strong in the morning, especially if the RSI closes back above the 60 threshold, then we are likely to see that scenario play out. Nikkei, well, not much to say really. It's still in bouncing mode, bullish mode also, and I think it will crawl higher eventually. European markets and EuroStoxx50, well, still trying to push higher, and I think it will. No divergence on the RSI. And what I will do, I will say, well, if it takes out the previous peak, obviously here at 5,467 and a bit, then we'll see a new all-time high. But I think we will have a warning even before then when it takes out some of these peaks here. That could be crucial. Then I also think that we'll see a new push higher. There's no divergence on the RSI indicating likely higher levels. Here we have the pre-market crawl a little bit higher, so maybe we are in for that. And we have here the DAX index that actually does have this divergence. You can see it's declining here, but look at this. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see it actually closed above its upper falling trend line here, indicating we could at least see a challenge of the previous peak, despite the fact that we actually have a bearish engulfing top and reversal pattern playing out here. So it's a little bit in a limbo, I would say. It could challenge the all-time high, and if it takes it out, well, then we are looking at 25K, possibly higher, but let's see about that. But for now, we actually have the top reversal. We have trend exhaustion, but it could also be an indication here that it will push a little bit higher. Pre-market up 0.5%, so it seems like we are going to challenge at least the previous all-time high there. So keep an eye on that. If it breaks back below the support here at 23,335, well then we have a different situation. Then it has reversed. Moving on to the forex market and euro dollar, back below this level here, but still in behind a bullish trend. Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Positive sentiment on the RSI. I think it slowly will crawl higher towards 115.70, the previous peak here, but it got rejected just below the 786 retracement. It's still above the rising trend line. Still positive sentiment indicating likely higher levels, but I think it will be a slow process. Sterling dollar, well, also pausing in range bound here. So what I will do, I'll say, okay, let's see if it can actually take out that level there. And if it does take out that range just very short term, so 134.15 and 136.95, just below 136 to 135.95 here. That's the range for now. Still positive sentiment on the RSI. There is divergence, however, you can see that they are declining here. So a little bit stressed. So I will be waiting to see for sterling dollar to play out what we want to do. And still the same picture as we talked about for a very long time on euro sterling. Resistance here at 84.65, and we have the 55 moving average keeping it down here. But I think we see the downtrend here pausing a bit, so we could actually be range bound here also for quite some time between the 200 and the 55 moving average. Dollar yen, well, excuse me, dollar yen bounced just before it tested the support here at 142. Let's see if it can actually bounce further up to the 146.15, 146.5. I'm not so sure, but it's a little bit up here in the air at the moment. This key support here should be observed. The euro yen, I'm just repeating myself, which I've done for so long. Wide range here between 165 and 161 is really the range to look out for. For now, it's just a lot of noise and dancing on the spot of volatility, but no clear trend. On the Aussie dollar, well, also pausing a little bit. It should crawl higher with the positive RSI, but we have the moving average declining, so it is also a little bit indecisive. We are above the clouds, however, slightly falling trend there. Is it forming like a double top? It's not double top, a shoulder, head, shoulder-like pattern maybe. But then the neckline will be very much declining here. So it wouldn't be that perfect a picture. I would say if it starts taking out the 91.65, that could be a sign to at least test 90 spot 60. On the sterling yen, strong resistance here up around 196.45 that it was rejected at, and now it's boxed in here between the 200 moving average and the peaks there. And we also have the 55 coming up here. We have the 100 coming up here. I think we will have another go at this peak here, and if it takes it out, then we could see a fairly strong move up to 199.200. Aussie dollar slowly crawling higher, but still it's not very convincing. Positive sentiment still, but let's zoom out to see what's actually, see if we can get any idea. It seems like the I will adjust this a little bit. It seems like here around 65.45, 65.5. That is the key level to watch out for. It got knocked down there, but the thing is, we have the 200 moving average, and it often does that. It's kind of dragging it down or holding it down, but then we have the 55 and the 100 coming up here, and maybe that's why we are boxed in. It can't really make up its mind that way around, because we're kind of boxed in between those two. Dollar Canada pausing its sell-off. Still in the bearish trend, but a little bit of divergence here, as you can see, and let me draw a trend line so you can actually see it. There we go. So we had lower levels there, but we didn't have lower values on the RSI, indicating at least short-term bearish trend. Looking at the weekly, there is some strong support here in the region around 136.50. Also, we can see it here on the daily, and the moving average, the 100 giving a little bit of support or dragging it higher, and the rising trend line there. Sterling Canada, and let's just zoom in on it, just dancing sideways out of the rising trend line there. Resistance here at 186.95, just below 187. If it breaks above that, then I think we'll see a push towards 190. If it can reach 190, it's debatable, but still. 55 moving average giving a little bit of support, but it seems like pausing a little bit here, and I think we could set back maybe a little bit further. It is also not it's a really not clear picture, really. We have the 100 coming up here, and the 2 also giving some support. So I think whatever happens, even if we drop a little bit lower, it could bounce higher. Let's see if we can have some Fibonacci guidelines Not all the time we can do that, but here we can see we actually dip below the 50%. And if we take up the entire uptrend, but it's so irregular, so normally I wouldn't do this, but it's just above the 38.2 retracement at 184.20. Euro Swiss still doing the same. It's still 92.95 here. That is key support and resistance 94.25. The dollar Swiss bearish trend, yes, but bounce back here. So let's see what it will do. If it starts moving back above 83.50, then we could see it trying to get up to around 85, maybe 86. But we have all moving averages declining, indicating likely lower levels. Also negative sentiment on the other side. No divergence indicating lower levels. But for now, it's holding on. More or less the same picture on the dollar index, lower levels. The negative sentiment, there's no divergence on the RSI. You see this low level here. It's also this low level here. So likely to push lower, but keep an eye on the falling trend line. Could test it, but still we have some strong resistance in the region around 100 spot 32, 100 spot 74. Gold couldn't follow through yesterday after the higher highs, but we are in a bullish trend here. Higher high, higher low, higher high. Setting back a little bit. We need RSI to get back above 60 threshold and stay there at the end of the day. If it does, well, then it will support further upside potential. And if gold takes out 3,435, then we're looking at 3,500 plus. Support here at 3,240. I don't think it will test it, but let's see. At the moment, it is a little bit indecisive. We have silver establishing a bullish trend, positive sentiment on the RSI, supporting that. If it can also take out 35, well, then there's further upside potential. And if you're looking at the week chart, we can see why this region here around 35 is so important for silver. If it can really get above it here, having 34.87, so really challenging it at the moment, and I think it will push higher in the coming days and weeks. Platinum bounced off, a continuous bounce, and I think it will push higher. And if I then add Fibonacci to this correction here, and you can do the same, then can give you some ideas. And we are currently between the 61.8 and 786, and I think it will push higher. There's no divergence on the RSI, likely higher levels. And let's have a look at the weekly. We have potential up to 1130 area, and that will be the 138.2 projection, just around that level. So it seems fairly strong at the moment, but of course there's no given in this. We have copper that for a couple of days has tried to really get back. I mean, it was above on the 2nd of June, and now this morning testing again. What we need is the RSI to close back above 60 threshold to support and confirm a bullish trend, and we need the copper stay to close above 489. Those two scenarios for really establishing a bullish trend and confirm it. On the oil side, still this range we're talking about here, just above 60 and 64.87 on the WTI. Brent crude oil, Brent crude oil below the cloud, below the 55 moving average, and the resistance here at 66.81. If it starts sliding lower, and especially taking out the lows here at 62.55, then I think we'll see it push lower. But it's already sliding lower in a declining trend here, and negative sentiment on the RSI, but we also had divergence. So expect it just to be range bound here for a little while longer. We have the EU natural gas that bounced from the 61.8 retracement, struggling now with the 55 moving average that is declining, 100 declining, 200 declining, negative sentiment on the RSI. If it takes out the lows here from a few days ago at 33.70, I think we'll see a challenge of the lows here around 31 and a bit. The US nat gas boxed in here between the $3.84 and $3. Moving on to yields, that is not doing much either, crawling a little bit high here on the US 10-year Treasury yields, but still 100 moving average declining, trying to drag it down, but then we have 55 and 200 moving average coming out. We could still see a dip lower, and then I think we'll see a bounce, but because we have the positive sentiment on the RSI. The 2-year really not doing much either, so not much story there either. Above the cloud, positive sentiment could crawl higher, but we have the 100 and the 200 coming down there, so it will try to push it down a little bit. Moving on to the European yields, we have the EU yields. We had inflation numbers out yesterday. It was lower than expected and lower than the ECB target, so it was below 2%, but still it didn't push the yields lower. It dipped a little bit below here, but it didn't really move much, so I think it was kind of expected. I think we could see it bounce maybe a little bit up to 260 here in the coming weeks, but if it takes out the lows from yesterday at 251, then we could see a 243 being tested to support down there. UK dipped also to touch the 460 support, staying above it. It's what you should keep an eye on the next few days if it takes it out. I know it dipped a little bit below here, but it was a 460. Well, then we could see it down to around 450. And finally, on the crypto side, we have Bitcoin still trying to get back up above the 106,600. We are in a correction phase, a little bit lower level there, lower high, lower low. What will happen next? Will we also test the 100,000 area here? RSI is still positive, so there's actually no divergence indicating likely higher levels. So let's see. And Ethereum range bound here between 2790 and 2330. A wide range that is getting narrower and narrower. Let's see about that. We have the RSI also positive, trying to get back above the falling trend line there. And if it does, well, it could be an indication we will see high levels on Ethereum. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and talk to you again later.